everybody. This is Alex Borak from Inbox 25, Marketing Automation Made Easy. Thanks for attending today's webinar, Leverage Visitor Tracking with Site Monitor. At the end of the webinar, there will be a short Q&A. If at any point during the webinar you have a question, just throw it in the questions bubble. I'll get to as many as I can, and any questions I do not answer, I will follow up in an email following the demonstration. Today's webinar is being recorded live and will be up for further viewing in the coming days on our YouTube channel as well as our knowledge base. So, with that being said, let's get right into it. Today, I'll be going over our wonderful visitor tracking tool, Site Monitor. So visitor tracking is all about the individual that is visiting your site, as opposed to your overall site performance. On the most basic level, our visitor tracking gives you two types of reports, page views and visits. The former gives you visitor traffic for your website's every tracked page, including known and unknown visitors, average page views per visitor, average duration of visit, and the top referring site. We list every page visited and allow you to filter this list by the type of visitors, duration of visit, number of views, and recency of visits. For the latter, we give you the known and unknown visitors with details on each one. If an unknown user is accessing your website from a company-specific IP address, we tell you the company that the user is from, as well as the location, city, state, region, and country, of the user's server. Site Monitor relies on a tiny embedded JavaScript tracking code to deliver awesome and meaningful visitor analytics. In order to activate Site Monitor, you will need to install the JavaScript tracking code on each and every one of your website domains, which we provide during the setup process. It's also important to note for all of our European and other international clients that we allow for a consent for tracking option. By selecting this option, visitors who land on your website will be asked if a cookie can be attached to them for web tracking. If they say no, then we will not be able to track them. We give you the flexibility to personalize a message to visitors explaining to them why a cookie will be attached to them. So, converting unknown visitors into identified prospects and leads is managed through lead-generating landing pages and forms. When a visitor converts on a landing page, we automatically begin tracking their activity on your website. Once you convert and identify an unknown visitor, we will also assign all of their past visit history that was previously unknown to their new profile. We can also identify your targets when they click through a link inside of an email campaign, as long as you sent the campaign to a marketing or CRM list. In order for visitors who convert on landing pages you create within our landing page editor, there is one simple requirement we ask you to include: an email address. We track visitors by having an email address associated with the record. Once a lead converts on a landing page you've created and either sent them a link in an email or embedded the form onto your site, users can begin using the full functionality of the platform to interact with these leads. You can also score leads based on their web activity. If a lead has been on a specific page, you can increase their lead score. If a lead has been on your website for more or less than X time, you can increase their score. If a lead has visited your website X number of times, you can increase their score. If a lead has been on your website in, say, no less than 7 days, or any amount of time, you can score them. With this, you can also automate workflows. Our reporting is dynamic and updates in near real time. Moreover, since we're in constant two-way communication with your CRM, your identified CRM targets and contacts automatically synchronize with your CRM through our timeline report. But our visitor monitor's true marketing power is in how it feeds into your marketing automation. you can use every action described above as a condition for either a campaign or for lead scoring. For automated campaigns, all you have to do is set up the campaign once, and every time your website visitor meets one of your conditions, he or she will be pulled into the appropriate campaign. So if you want your sales representatives to call anyone from General Motors who visits your features page for more than 30 minutes, we'll let you do that with an intuitive automated campaign and the integrated visitor monitor. Now that's marketing automation made easy. So let's talk about some best practices. So you're going to want to include links tracked with Site Monitor for records who already exist in Sugar, so that their past can then be attached to their record. You're going to want to include email addresses to all landing pages, which we do make required, so that part is already included, so that no leads slip through the cracks that way. You're going to want to automate workflows to send content out to leads if they viewed a specific page, say your pricing page, and then assign the record and alert the agent. You're also going to want to create scorecard rules that will increase or decrease a lead score if they have met the conditions you've set forth. So that concludes the presentation part of the webinar. Let's look at the platform itself so you can get a real grasp on what we've included today. So as you can see, right now I'm on the Inbox 25 dashboard. So if I wanted to go and include the tracking code on my domain, how do I go about doing that? Well, first, you'll navigate to the Reports tab of your dashboard and go to Site Monitor. So as you can see here, I've already installed our tracking code on 2 of our presentation websites. If you wanted to include another domain, you would just simply click Track Another Domain. And here's where you put your domain name. We simply want you to put the domain name excluding the wwws or HTTP. As mentioned in the presentation, we give you the option of enabling privacy pop-up. And then you can create your personalized message. So when someone comes up on the website that's being tracked with Site Monitor, they will see this messages pop up. And then they will choose whether they'd like to be tracked or not. So once you've put your domain name, then we give you this little snippet of code. So you would take this code, copy it, and add it to every page of your site before the body. It's important to note, if your website is powered via WordPress or Drupal, there's a great plugin for each of those website providers that allows you to put our tracking code on your main page, and then any other sub-page that you create, the code will automatically be inserted. For WordPress, the plugin is called Insert Headers and Footers. For Drupal, I don't have the quite exact name for the plugin, but I believe it's of a similar name. With WordPress, they're called subpages, and Drupal, they're called views. So let's look at the reporting. First, we'll look at the page views. So as you can see, we give you a whole host of analytics right from the first screen you look at. You can see your known visitors, average page views, average duration, as well as the top referrer. You can also view your activity for today, since yesterday, for the week, for a month, or for 2 months, or all. You can also view the amount of page views you'd like to, the amount of duration, as well as known or unknown visitors. You can also click each and every one of the pages that are being tracked, as well as the targets. So let's look at Jetstream Corp Fly with Luxury. So as you can see here, 2 people have become known visitors. And the way they became visitors was by converting on a landing page in which they included their email address. For this specific example, I sent an email out to these recipients with a link included that's being tracked by Site Monitor. Once they clicked that link, they were then being tracked, and any of their all past activity was associated with their record profile. Under the nurturing column, you'll notice that they both have a red X. Well, that means that they're currently not in a workflow. If they were in an automated workflow, this would be changed to a green check mark. From this reporting, you can also see what lifecycle stage they're in, their total lead score, as well as when they were last seen. So let's go back to the other reporting view. Who visited? So once again, I'm just going to go to All Activity. And as you can see, we have known visitors as well as unknown visitors. So even though this visitor is unknown to me and I cannot interact them with our system, I still know what internet provider they use. I know the date and time of visit. I know how many page views they had. I know the duration of their visit. For this unknown visitor, I know where they're located. If the visitor came to the site via, say, google.com, then under the referred column, you would see google.com or any other referring site. So before I go to automation, I like to show the scorecard. As I said, that you can imply and include scorecard rules in conjunction with Site Monitor. So before the presentation, I created up a mock scorecard that shows all the possible rules you can score leads on that have to do with web activity. So let's go take a look at that. And as you see here, 2 of my rules have been pinged to score your leads. So let's take a look at one of them. So this scorecard rule is based upon the operator of last activity. As you can see here, we give you 6 different operators that you can score your leads on. So for this example, if someone was last active on my main website for greater than 7 days, I'm going to decrease their score by 1 point. Let's take a look at the other rule that got some interactions. So this rule is based upon visit duration. If a lead was on my website for more than 2 minutes, I like to give them a point. You can also score leads based on unique views. So the first time a lead has gone on your site, that is a unique view from a known visitor. Any other views past that are just normal views. The unique view is, for the sake of redundancy, unique to the visitor's first time being on your website. You can also score your leads based on specific pages that they've been on. For this one, if they were on my pricing page, I'd like to score them with a point value of 1. You can also score your leads based on the total number of visits they've had on your website. So if a lead was on my website more than 2 times, I like to give them a score of 1. And last but not least, you're referred from. So under that column that I mentioned before, if this was filled in with a google.com, once the system picks up that the referral site was google.com, the lead will then get a point value of 1. It's important to note for the scorecard that you can activate or deactivate rules at any point in time. To go further into scoreboards, our lifecycle manager, and our scorecard, I highly recommend viewing our webinar on scoreboards. So now let's go to automation. So once again, before the presentation, I made up a few mock automations that leads have gone through and completed. So let's take a look at one of them. Let's look at our unique visitors. So for this example, I targeted the leads module of Sugar CRM, and I made it a smart campaign. The condition I put forth was if someone was a unique page view on my main website on one page, then what would I like to do? Well, first, I like to assign that record to Alex. Then, I like to alert Alex. Next, I like to add a tag to this profile on website. Note that tags associated with records are within inbox 25 exclusively. They do not reflect upon sugar record profiles. Finally, I wanted to move this record to our active leads target list. Great. That was marketing automation made easy. Let's go take a look at another example. Let's take a look at lead on site for 2 minutes. So for this example, I selected the same module, and it's also a smart campaign. For this one, if the total visit duration was greater than 2 minutes, what would I have liked to have done? Well, first, I like to increase their lead score by 5 points. Because they've been on my site for more than 2 minutes, that shows some level of interest, even if they kept the browser open. Then, I like to create a new opportunity in Sugar. Note that this is probably not the best workflow to make for someone being on your site for more than 2 minutes. The reason for this was just to show you the wealth of options you have at your disposal when utilizing visitor tracking as a condition. So as you can see here, these are all the possible fields within the Opportunities module in Sugar that I have then put data into and saved. So all of this is completely automated. Let's look at my last example. Visited site more than once. So as you can guess, this is going to be relied on total visits. So once again, I selected the same module, same condition, and there you go. The total number of visits is greater than 1. What would I have liked to have done? Well, I would like to send an email out of hot new features to let them know what's going on. So now that I showed you a few examples of what you can do, let's make an example from scratch. So when creating an automated workflow, there's a few steps you have to go through to make sure that everything's perfect and everything is what you'd like. So first, select your module. I'm going to select the Leads module. And I'm going to name this Record Last Active 7 days ago. And let's make this a smart campaign. Note that current condition means the record only cares about the current condition block it's in. As soon as the record meets the criteria for their current condition block, they will be moved through the workflow. A progressive condition block is, as a record is moving through a workflow, the system cares about not only the current condition block the record is in, but any other past condition blocks the record has passed. The record must meet the criteria for the initial as well as any past in order to move on. A smart campaign is the system cares about the first condition block that the record has met. As a record is moving through the workflow, if the criteria for the first condition block is no longer met, they will be taken out of the workflow. So let's choose the web activity as a condition. Let's select our domain. And let's choose the last activity is greater than 7 days. And let's just name this last active 1 week ago and add condition. Now, I can add another condition or add an action. To show you how specific you can make your marketing, let's go ahead and add another condition. And let's say geography. Maybe I want to only market to people who have been on my site from Antigua and Barbuda. So we'll leave the region and city. We just want to market to the whole country. So located in Antigua and Barbuda. And go ahead and add condition. Now let's go ahead and add an action. So this is asking me if I'd like all my conditions to be met or any of them to be met in order to move the record through the workflow. But I'm going to make this all. Now we're taken to our await connector. As you can see, minutes, hours, days, weeks, and months we offer. For the demonstration, I'm only going to be doing 1 minute. Now, what would we like to do based upon people who were last active 1 week ago and are located in Antigua and Barbuda? Well, first, let's add a tag to them. And we'll add a tag of from Antigua. Great. Now we can end the campaign or add another action. But we're going to add another action. And let's say we want to update a field of sugar. So we'll go down to our primary address country, and let's just fill that in with Antigua. Let's add one more action. And let's say we'd like to convert the record. So we'll convert it to an account/contact. Perfect. So let's go ahead and end the campaign. So just to reiterate, if a lead comes in and has been last active on your site for more than 7 days, as well as are located in Antigua and Barbuda, we'd like to first add a tag to them. Then we'd like to update a field in sugar. Finally, we like to convert the record from a lead to an account contact. Then all you'd have to simply do is activate the campaign, and you're ready to go. As soon as records meet the criteria for this campaign, they will then start being put through the workflow. So just to show you the reporting on each workflow, let's take a look at, say, unique visitors. So as you can see here, these names seem a little familiar, and that's because they were our known visitors from the Site Monitor reporting. So from the workflow, there was 4 actions, and as you can see, the record has completed the workflow. So the only other thing to mention would be looking at the dashboard to see your activity stream. In your activity stream, you can see if they've opened email or converted on a landing page that is associated on your website. It's just an added bonus, a feature added benefit for those who maybe not want to navigate to a specific tab and reporting view, but kind of just want to know what's been going on through the activity stream. So that concludes the presentation for today. I have set up before the presentation a few frequently asked questions that I feel might benefit you. So first of all, does Site Monitor work with Google Analytics? Well, that's a great question, and that is a yes and no question. Well, first of all, we have a great integration with Google Analytics. So Google Analytics is similar to Site Monitor in the sense of it gives you kind of a broad overview of who's been on your website as well as some metrics. Whereas Site Monitor gives you, a more detailed, in-depth view of what's been going on your site as well as who and where and the what's. So Site Monitor works in conjunction with Google Analytics. Although you cannot view a Google Analytics report within Site Monitor, you can view the Site Monitor analytics inside the Google Analytics report. Google shows you a high-level overview of your site, whereas Site Monitor gives you the specific analytics for each lead, both known and unknown. So another question is, I have a WordPress site. Do I have to include a link on all of the subdomains? Well, I did briefly go over it through the presentation, but the answer is no. With WordPress sites, once you include the link on your main page, all other subpages are also tracked because WordPress has a plugin for header footer that applies to every page. By downloading the header footer plugin and applying the code to your main page, all other subpages will automatically have the code input into the footer. Alex, can I do anything with unknown visitors? Unfortunately, no, you cannot. They are unknown. Therefore, we cannot interact with them until they become a known visitor. As mentioned before, they will become known once they either convert on a landing page or click a link in an email that is to a domain being tracked by Site Monitor. Does a person always have to have an action on a landing page in order to start being tracked by Site Monitor? Great question. So If you have a landing page that you would like to just have a separate URL and the lead converts on it, you'll have their information and will be stored in your CRM. However, if the landing page is not embedded on your website and the lead converted on it standalone rather than via your website, they will still come up as an unknown visitor until they either A, convert on the landing page that is embedded on your site, or B, click the link to a domain being tracked with SiteMonitor. So once again, great question. So I'll wait about a minute to see if there's any other further questions. If not, then I definitely thank you for attending today's webinar. I see another question. Do you plan on being able to specify a date range versus picking from the drop-down? Another great question. I can certainly submit the feedback to our product development team for future updates, but currently the way to segment out your reports would be how I viewed it before. Can you export a screenshot of known visitors? Great question. So if you navigate to each of the reporting, as you can see, there is no export function for known and unknown visitors. Once again, it's definitely good feedback for future updates to happen, but currently there is no other way other than by looking at the report inside SiteMonitor. So I'll wait just a few more seconds. If there's any other follow-up questions or any other questions they might have thought of at the moment. All right, it doesn't seem that there are any more questions for today's webinar. Once again, I thank you for joining TGIF. You guys enjoy the rest of today and have a great weekend. We look forward to seeing you on our upcoming webinars that are being hosted 3 times a week for the next few weeks. Once again, as mentioned before, this webinar will be on our YouTube channel in the coming days, if not this afternoon, as well as on our knowledge base for further viewing. Once again, this is Alex Bork with Inbox 25. Thank you for joining me today, and you guys have a lovely Friday.